நீங்கள் பார்த்து கொண்டிருப்பது உங்கள் RSKV யூடியூப் சேனல்.
Income Tax Inspectors Exam 2013 Paper 3 Allied Laws. Question number 1. Section 40 of the Registration Act 1908 refers to documents which can be revoked at any moment and have no binding effect till the death of the executant. As per Section 11 of the Indian Succession Act 1925, a person may acquire domicile in India by making and depositing a declaration in writing under his hand of his desire to acquire such domicile, provided he has been resident in India for dash immediately preceding the time of his making such declaration for 1 year. Who can revoke the trust created by will? Testator. Property liable for attachment and sale in execution of a decree is provided in of Civil Procedure Code 1908, Section 60. Probate shall be granted to an executor appointed by the will. As per the RTA Act 2005, on receipt of the notice under Section 11(1), the third party may make a representation against proposed disclosure of information within dash from the date of receipt of notice, 10 days from the date of receipt of notice. Question number 7. Which of the following is correct under Mitakshara law? A Hindu undivided family is a creation of law and not of a contract. Which section of the Indian Trust Act 1882 regulates the mode in which a trustee is to make investments? 20. The subject matter of the trust is called as trust property or trust money. Which of the following item is not held as actionable claim under the Transfer of Property Act 1882? Claim of copyright. Where an application under the RTA Act 2005 is rejected, the PIO is not required to communicate to the person making request his or her residential address. Transfer of a decree for execution to another court has been dealt with under Civil Procedure Code, Section 39. An executor or administrator shall exhibit in the court which granted the probate or letters of administration, an inventory and an account of the estate respectively, within dash from the grant of probate or letters of administration, 6 months and 1 year. If a Hindu male dies intestate, the self-acquired and separate property will devolve upon his heirs in the following order: Class 1, Class 2, the agnates, the cognates. As per Section 19 of the Indian Trust Act 1882, a trustee is bound to keep clear and accurate accounts of their trust property. Where the defendant fails to file the return statement within 30 days under the Civil Procedure Code 1908, he shall be allowed to file the same on such other days as may be specified to the court for reasons to be recorded in writing, but which shall not be later than dash days from the date of service of summon. 90. Which of the following provision of the Civil Procedure Code 1908 provides for adjudication of claims to or objections to attachment of property? Order 21, Rule 58. As per provisions of the Registration Act 1908, a deed of adoption requires compulsory registration, B. optional registration, C. no registration, D. none of the above. Answer D. none of the above. 19. The essential conditions of sale under the Transfer of Property Act 1882 are the following except 1. The agreement to sell must have taken place before sale. 20. A legacy is bequeathed to A for life and after his death to B, and in case of B's death without children to C, C will get the legacy. When both A and B die before C and B leaves no children behind, though A leaves a son. Which of the following is true about the rights of the mortgagee regarding the proceeds received on acquisition of the property? The mortgagee is entitled to claim mortgage in whole or in part in case property is acquired under the Land Acquisition Act 1894. 22. The sealed cover deposited under Section 42 of the Registration Act 1908 can be opened after the death of the testator. 23. Section 58 of the Transfer of Property Act 1882 defines and includes which of the following? Mortgage, mortgager, mortgage money. D. All of the above. Answer D. All of the above. Sons acquire by birth rights equal to those of a father under Mitakshara law in movable and immovable ancestral property. Where an application seeking information under the RTI Act 2005 is filed, the prescribed fees to obtain such information has to be paid by all persons excluding below poverty line BPL applicants. Section 75 of the Civil Procedure Code 1908 provides power of court to issue commission. Personal information, unless larger public interest justifies disclosure of such information, is exempt from disclosure dash of the RTA Act 2005 under Section 8, 1 of 1. Who among the following cannot present will to the registrar for registration as per Section 40 of the Registration Act 1908? Son of the testator. As per Section 16 of the Registration Act 1908, the government is to provide which of the following things to the officers of registering authority for keeping the records in safe custody? Fireproof boxes. A Christian died intestate, survived by his widow W, a son S, and a daughter D. W, S, and D will be entitled to his property as follows. W will get 1/3 of the property and 2/3 will be shared equally by S and D. Which of the following is correct under Mitakshara law? Unobstructed heritage devolves by survivorship. Which of the following is not true about the rights and liabilities of the lessee under the Transfer of Property Act 1882? The lessee is bound to give detail of activities carried out on the leased premise. A, governed by Mitakshara law, sells certain ancestral property to B. No other co-partners is living at that time. The sale is made without any legal necessity. Which of the following is correct? The sale is valid through, though made without legal necessity. Rule relating to affidavits are contained in which order of Civil Procedure Code 1908? Order 19. According to the RTA Act 2005, a PIO may reject a request for certain information under the RTA Act 2005 where such a request for providing access would involve an infringement of copyright subsisting in a person other than state. As per provisions of the RTA Act 2005, where the information sought for concerns the life or liberty of a person, the same has to be provided by the PIO within dash of the receipt of the request. 48 hours. A Hindu married a Muslim lady under the provision of the Special Marriage Act 1954. He died intestate his property will devolve as per the provisions of the Indian Succession Act 1925. Which one of the following is not considered as liability of the seller under the Transfer of Property Act 1882 to receive the consideration by check only? When an unmarried individual co-partner acquires assets on partition, such T assets would be considered as individual assets. The rule of precedence among the various registered documents relating to the same property is contained in dash of the Registration Act 1908, Section 47, where the intestate has left widow and also lineal descendants men, 1/3 of the property shall belong to his widow, and the remaining 2/3 shall go to his lineal descendants. Central Information Commission means the Central Information Commission constituted under dash of the RTA Act 2005, subsection 1 of section 12. At any particular time, co-partnery is restricted to dash from the living holder of ancestral property, members within 4 degrees. As per the RTA Act 2005, the PAO has to provide the information requested for or reject such request within dash of the receipt of the request, 30 days. According to the Transfer of Property Act 1882, instrument means non-testamentary instrument. The Right of Information Act 2005 confers the right of information on all citizens. The procedure to open the sealed cover deposited under Section 42 of the Registration Act 1908 is given in Section 44. The provision of the Civil Procedure Code 1908 relating to commissions to examine witnesses are contained in Order 26. Under the Civil Procedure Code 1908, to compel the attendance of any person to whom a summons has been issued, the court may issue a warrant for his arrest, attach and sell his property, impose a fine upon him not exceeding rupees 5,000. D. All of the above. Answer D. All of the above. If a trustee improperly leaves trust property outstanding and it is consequently lost, he is liable to make good the property lost, but he is not liable to pay interest thereon. Who amongst the following is capable of making wills? A blind or dumb or deaf, if the persons know what they are doing. Which one of the following properties is liable to attachment and sale in the execution of a decree? A promissory note. As per the provisions of Tile Registration Act 1908, after the deposit of will and on satisfaction of the registrar that the person presenting the same for deposit is the testator or his agent, the registering officer shall enter it in his register book number 5. The Mitakshara is based on the code of Yaganavalka. Grounds for review have been provided under Civil Procedure Code 1908 in Order 47, Rule 1. Under the Registration Act 1908, a registered document operates from the date of operation of the document as given in the document itself. When a suit has been duly instituted, a summons may be issued under Civil Procedure Code 1908 to the defendant to appear and answer the claim on such a day not later than dash days from the date of service of summons of the defendant, 30 days. If the information sought relates to or has been supplied by a third party and is treated as confidential by that third party, the PIO, if he intends to disclose the information, shall give a written notice to that third party under Section 11 of the RTA Act 2005 within dash from the date of receipt of the request. 5 days. Breach of trust means the denial of beneficial interest to the beneficiaries. One of the following statement is not true with regards to rights and liabilities of the lessor under the Transfer of Property Act 1882. There must be recurring lease rent arising out of the property. A partner buys land in his own name with funds belonging to the partnership. A holds such land for the benefit of the partnership. As per Section 52 of Transfer of Property Act 1882, the following conditions must be fulfilled before applying to the doctrine of lis pendens, Lispendens. There must be pendency of a suit or proceeding. B. The suit or proceeding must be pending in a competent court. C. A right to immovable property must be directly and specifically in question in that litigation. Answer all the above. Testamentary guardian is a person appointed as guardian in a will drawn by a father for his minor child. The definition of public authority under the RTA Act 2005 includes NGOs substantially financed by the appropriate government. Codicil means an instrument in relation to a will which explains, alerts, or adds to its disposition, in which court review can be made under the Civil Procedure Code 1908, in such court by which order is made. Under the provisions of Section 7 of the Transfer of Property Act, the competent persons to transfer means A. Every person competent to contract only. B. Every person entitled to transfer property or authorized to dispose or transferable property. Authorized to dispose of transferable property, both A and B. According to Section 5 of the Transfer of Property Act 1882, living persons include company or association or body of individuals. A bequeaths property to B in trust to employ it in carrying on an illicit trade and out of the profits thereof to support A's children. The trust is void. Under the Registration Act 1908, an instrument of gift of immovable property requires compulsory registration. Order 26 Rule 4A of the Civil Procedure Code 1908 empowers the court to issue commission in a suit for examination of a person who is resident within the local limits of its jurisdiction. Which of the following is not correct in respect to Sridhana? She cannot dispose it of. A has left a will whereby he has appointed B his executor, but the will contains no other provision. He has died intestate in respect of the distribution of his property. Indian Trust Act 1882 does not apply to which union territory? Andaman and Nicobar Island. As per Section 69 of the Indian Succession Act 1925, a will gets revoked on testator getting married. If a Hindu, Mohammedan, Buddhist, Sikh or Jain or an exempted person has died intestate, administration of his estate may be granted to any person who would be entitled to whole or any part of his estate. The obligations of public authorities are mentioned in dash of the RTI Act 2005, Section 4. Section 61 of Civil Procedure Code 1908 provides for partial exemption of agricultural produce. Section 18 of the Registration Act 1908 provides for documents of which the registration is optional. If a partner, being a trustee, wrongfully employs trust property in the business under which section of Indian Trust Act 1882 is the partner liable to the beneficiaries. Section 67. Where a third party has been given an opportunity to make representation, the PIO is required under the RTA Act 2005 to take a decision as to whether or not to disclose the information within dash from the date of receipt of the request, 40 days. Which of the following is not essential to make a valid gift under Section 122 of Transfer of Property Act 1882? The donor can revoke the gift at any time. 83. A testator bequeaths certain property upon trust and the purpose of the trust appears on the face of the will to be unlawful. The legatee must hold the property for the benefit of the testator's legal representative. A family consists of A and his sons B, C, and D. B has no child and C has three sons E, F, and H. D has only son G. The family is governed by Mitakshara law. In a car accident, A, B, and C die. Find the share of E, F, and H on the partition. E, F, and H would each get 1/6 of the whole. In case of charge under Section 100 of Transfer of Property Act 1882, the provisions of following types of mortgage are applicable. Simple mortgage. What is not true about simple mortgage defined under Section 58 of the Transfer of Property Act 1882? The delivery or possession must take place after a specific period. Which of the following is not correct for a co-partnery under Mitakshara law? Every individual of the family has definite share. X, a CPIO, receives an application under the RTA Act, but the information sought is held by another public authority. What is the maximum period stipulated under the RTA Act within which he can transfer the request to that another public authority? 5 days from the date of receipt of the application. The daughter of a co-partner is also treated as a co-partner with effect from 9/9/2005. In execution of a decree for maintenance under Section 60 of the Civil Procedure Code 1908, what portion of salary of a person cannot be attached? 1/3. H enters into a hire purchase agreement with P, whereby he assigned the rights to the goods to P. P sold the goods in an open market to O and kept the sale proceeds. Who will be held liable for the loss suffered by H? P. Where a judgment debtor dies before the decree has been fully satisfied, the same can be executed against all the legal representatives. An applicant seeking information under the RTA Act 2005 is required to give his or her contact details. The form of investment mentioned in Section 20 of Indian Trust Act 1882 are restricted only in case of private trust. Under Section 126 of Transfer of Property Act 1882, a gift can be revoked by an agreement between the donor and the donee. Which of the following is not correct for the doctrine of blending of properties under Mitakshara law? If the property inherited from a collateral is thrown into the hotch pot, the doctrine of blending of properties would not apply. Part 5 of the Indian Succession Act 1925 is applicable to Christians. Section 17 of the Registration Act 1908 deals with documents which are by law compulsory to be registered. X inherits certain property from his father. X has his wife W, a son S, and an unmarried daughter D. The son enforces partition of the said property with effect from 1/1/2013. The son S gets 1/3 of the property. A falsely and knowingly represents to the testator that the testator's only child is dead and thereby induces him to make a will in his heirs' favor. Will is invalid as obtained by fraud.